Hello, everyone. I'm Adam with Demiplane. Thank you for joining me for this week's development update and community Q&A session. We've got several things to report on today. Lots and lots of activity going on in the Demiplane offices, which for the most part ends up being our team's homes out there. We're a pretty distributed company, but we've got a couple of employees in our offices in Green Bay that sit there and kind of yell back and forth across the hallways to each other. But lots and lots of activity. Our instant messaging applications are just lighting up all the time. Questions going back and forth. We are getting into the home stretch here of getting things in the place where they're going to be ready for an open beta for the Pathfinder character tools and working on our next couple of games as well. So we're going to get into all of those details of the latest build that's going to go out today for the Pathfinder closed alpha. And then we are also going to give away a digital book bundle of the Avatar Legends, the role-playing game core book, as well as Wan Shi Tong's adventure guide. And we've also got some Avatar news this morning. And then, of course, upcoming, what the roadmap looks like, what is on deck to get worked on. You can ask questions all along the way. All you got to do is type the word question into Twitch chat and then follow that by the question itself. And I will get to as many as I have time for at the end of the stream. So let's jump right in. With Pathfinder Nexus Early Access, we've got this, the enmity cycle. That's a hard word to say. Like, we talk about that internally all the time. We've got a couple of team members that I still don't know if they've said it correctly. I don't know if I say it correctly most of the time that I say it, but the enmity cycle is something that we're working on. We are working on continued work for the Stolen Fate adventure path, and that is coming very soon. Stolen Fate has got some I'm looking forward to this one. I've been talking about that I was about to be running Gatewalkers, and that got postponed a little bit because that happens all the time. You're getting ready to play with a group of people, and then group of people, somebody in that group has something come up in real life that pushes out the thing. So I haven't started that yet. But then that meme where it's like looking at one thing and really, really liking it, but then something else walks past. Well, Stolen Fate is now walking past because I've seen what's going on here. Stolen Fate's looking really, really good. So again, just excellent content as always from Paizo, but Stolen Fate is good stuff. And then a High Helm. I'm a big dwarf fan. Love dwarven culture. In the train wreck of the Rings of Power on Amazon. By far, the only thing that I thought was worth watching was seeing the Subterranean Dwarven Kingdom, Iron Forge and World of Warcraft, all of that. So High Helm scratches that really great itch there, and working on that too. Can't wait to see Lost Omens High Helm. On the closed alpha, we've got some performance improvements that are going out today, pretty significant ones. So excited about that. We're starting to, see some real improvements across the board and some iterative changes. And that's exciting to see. Currency tracking is going to go in with this build. We've got at least the initial pass of the lore skill and, how that works. We've still got some feats work to do with that one. There are continued class updates, and there are going to be class updates all the way through until we say that it's time for the open beta. But that's also going to be happening. And then one of the things that we're talking about internally, and everybody loves alliteration. So the three things that we are really focused on as we're prepping for the Pathfinder, character tools open beta, which is when this is going to be released to the public. And as we've been talking about, that is our first moment where we would like for you to form your first impression of these character tools. Now, if you've been participating in the alpha, that's going to be really, really hard for you to forget about. The last few months as you've been, kind of kicking the tires and helping us test in the alpha. But the open beta is where we would truly consider that the milestone where it's like, hey, come and really try this stuff. And, that's not to say there aren't going to still be bugs. It still is a beta. That's not to say that we're not going to add more coverage of, different books and content and, rule support. But this is the moment. This is the inflection point where we would say, hey, this is a usable tool that we want to put out there for fans and players to be able to use for most of their characters and most of their games. So we talk about stability and scope and style. And so I'll get into that a little bit more as we get into the upcoming section here. But those are kind of the most of our activities are falling into those three buckets at this stage as we prep for the open beta. Avatar Legends Nexus. This is very exciting. You see the cover here. That lead was not able to be buried because of the visuals on the screen. But Republic City, which is a setting toolkit. I love that. I love that term, that label that is being placed on this product. But that is available for pre-order now. So you can go to Avatar Legends Nexus and check that out. You can also go to the Magpie store. This is really groundbreaking stuff. Like there's no other way to put it. The tabletop role-playing industry has not always been able to pull off these kinds of things. But in working with Magpie, we have a hardcover plus Nexus digital version bundle. So you can go and pick up the hardcover book as well as the Nexus version all in one purchase. And again, it's a really, really great thing that we're doing through the partnership there. And this is also, since this is the third product for Avatar Legends, this is where we introduce an Avatar Legends Ultimate Bundle. And you can also do a version of the Ultimate Bundle where you can pick up all three of the books, but then you get the hardcovers as well. So you can unlock all three of the books on Avatar Legends Nexus, and then you can get all of the hardcovers shipped to you. Just a note on that, because of just the way that logistics work. If you buy that hardcover Nexus digital bundle on the Demiplane store, then you're going to receive a code to go and unlock that on Magpie's store. And when you're on Magpie's store, that code will give you 100% off the book itself. So it unlocks the book, but then you will pay the shipping on Magpie's store because we have no way of knowing what that shipping is. So that's how that works. If you buy it on Magpie's store, that shipping is added during the purchase in that transaction, and then you would take the code you receive from Magpie and come to demiplane.com/activate and redeem that code. So the price is the same regardless of where you buy it, like the amount of money that you will pay, including that shipping. But just you're always going to be taking care of the shipping on Magpie's store. But really excited about that, and excited for the character tools as we continue to work on them. I've said all along that all the work that we're doing with the pilot of our character tools portion of the Nexus platform for Pathfinder is, most of this is applicable as we are going into our other games. And that is certainly the case for Avatar. And we're excited to get further down that road. And here within the next couple of months, you're going to see, a lot more progress there that we're going to be able to show you. So looking forward to that. And really the same thing with Vampire. So we're working these things in parallel. Vampire, I would say, from a mechanics perspective, has a little bit more going on than a Powered by the Apocalypse game like Avatar Legends. And so if I was betting, I would say Avatar Legends is going to be next, just the way that time works. But we'll kind of see how that plays out. But working on both of these, very excited about how far the platform has come, and by seeing these things start to come to life. And genuinely in software development, by the time you get through 3 versions of a thing, when you're able to iterate on something 3 times like this, I remember back in my, worked in defense and aerospace industry for a little while, and electronics manufacturing. We used to use Oracle, if you've heard of that application. Still have nightmares about it sometimes, but one of the projects that I worked on a good bit was deploying Oracle implementations to different plants, within the organization that I was working. And you got to a point where, for the most part, it was a very repeatable process, and then you just had to account for the deltas, the idiosyncrasies for each individual plant, and we were able to make so much progress after you're kind of able to forge that initial path. And so that's what we've been doing with Pathfinder for these last several months, is getting that initial path forged, and really looking forward to how all this is shaking up. I've got I'm sure you can tell on my face there's like a smile just under the surface. We are working really, really hard. We're still in that tunnel, but we see very bright light at the end of it here, and really excited about being able to unveil that to everyone here before too much longer. All right, let's jump in on the character tools closed alpha for Pathfinder here. We've got a build going out today. There are several update notes here. This is going to be a bigger one today, but we are, I'm not going to read each of these, but one of the big ones is, part of that stability bucket that I talked about before is making sure that things are performant as they can be, getting ready for the open beta. And we made some significant strides in this build because, it's not that we couldn't have done this at an earlier time in the closed alpha. It's just, we've been choosing what to focus on, when the time is right. And so the time is right now that we're starting to look at performance. Mm-hmm. And so today, especially, if you go and load a 20th level character in the builder or the digital sheet, you should see, on average, a 50%, it's probably 50% faster that's happening. So once that build goes out today, you should see a pretty significant difference there. There are other things that we're doing for performance that we haven't completed yet, so it's going to be better than what you're seeing today as well. But this is a pretty significant stride that you'll see today. And if you see something opposite of that, then that's the kind of feedback that we want to hear about, and we can track down any edge cases out there. But this should be pretty across the board, and it should be noticeable. Builder updates. One of the things that I'm excited about, because there are various things when you're doing software development, there are little things that pop up all along the way, and just the way that prioritization of the backlog happens, you think to yourself, I really, really want this thing to happen. And then sometimes it doesn't happen for some period of time because you're working on other things. But then there are these things that kind of become your pet priorities, that you want to see happen, and you're really, really happy once they are finally marked off the list. And this selection labels part is one of those that I and our CEO Peter have been looking at for a while. But this is the idea that once you make a selection in the builder, instead of it just saying one selection kind of in the middle column of the builder, it's going to actually tell you what the selection was. So a lot easier to tell what you've chosen at a glance, all those kind of things. We've got some additional deity work that is in for the champion. We're still working on the cleric, but that's continuing. Each class now has an initial proficiency section that you'll be able to see within the builder. So again, just kind of filling out some of the framework behind the class features there. And then as we move to sheet updates, again, I'm not going to read all of these. All the full update notes will be out once the build goes out later today. But we've got just kind of some error handling kind of things that are going in now. So if you happen to create a character and you don't give that character a name, we're going to give you, Nameless Wanderer as a name. So this is just, an improvement where it makes you easier to delete characters that you didn't mean to have there, where, things look better and just kind of a smoother experience. You can track currency. So, try that out. Let us know how that goes. We still are styling some of those portions, but currency tracking is in place, and you're at least able to manage the currency now. Then ranged weapons now should be using dexterity modifier to calculate attack rolls. So that is another one of those pet ones that has been on the list for way longer than we wanted it to be, but other priorities kept jumping up. We knew it was a simple change, but we're marking it off the list because we're at that point in the development process. Continued sheet updates, as I said, lore skill. Let's see if this updates here. This is supposed to be a sub bullet. Ooh, I think it did it. And then, ooh, you saw my little pink cursor there too. I love it. I love it. Pretty and pink. But then you have you can now edit shield hit points in the shield drawer. Oh, that's a sub bullet too. Missed that one too. Look at that. Look at that. The power of technology. I love technology, but not as much as you see. But I still love technology, always and forever. I won't sing the second verse. All right, class updates. We've got updates going out for the Bard. We've got updates going out for the Champion. We've got updates going out for the Druid, Oracle Sorcerer, Swashbuckler, Witch, and I believe that is our list. So again, lots and lots of updates going on because we're in this stability and scope and style part of the process now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Our giveaway, it's time for the giveaway. Hopefully you've been following in chat and the prompts there in chat, but we are giving away the Avatar Legends, the role-playing game core book, as well as Wan Shi Tong's Adventurer's Guide. The important thing here is if you win this giveaway and you redeem the product key that we will give you for this, that means that the way that previously purchased content works on Demiplane. So this is just time for a reminder about how great of a deal this is. Which is, any money that you're spending, or if you get a giveaway such as this, or, if you may be paid for the two books that are included here in the Kickstarter, the Avatar Legends Kickstarter, then you get credit for those purchases. So when it comes to the ultimate bundle for Avatar Legends Nexus, as that is out now, you will get credit for those purchases. So you can actually go and upgrade to the ultimate bundle, which not only will give you 25% off the current purchase for, in this case, the pre-order for Republic City, but it will also lock in a future-looking 25% discount on anything that comes to the ultimate bundle. So all that content coming to the ultimate bundle in the future, but you get credit for that. So if you win this today and you redeem this key, then you can unlock the ultimate bundle because you'll already get credit for these two books included here. And that works across the board. So Pathfinder and Vampire, some of the games that we support don't have an ultimate bundle yet because they don't have enough products available on the Nexus. But as that continues to grow, these ultimate bundles will be available. And again, it is an incredible deal. Especially when you think about previously purchased content credit. All right, so upcoming. So again, talking about stability, scope, and style. So stability for us is making sure that things are performant as they can be, that we are squashing as many bugs as we can. There's always going to be bugs that pop up everywhere, but minimizing and eradicating those, as much as possible, making sure that that the experience is a smooth one from a technical standpoint, and that it's accessible, and there will be continued accessibility work that we're doing throughout the beta, but trying to make sure that you have uptime, that things are that you are able to get to the tools and use them without irritations and things involving technology getting in your way. So that is a big part of the work that we're doing right now. When I say scope here, we could also say coverage. We could also say accuracy. But this is the idea that we always want in the digital form of a character sheet. We always want to make sure that it is at least as good as paper when it comes to anything you could do on paper. Which, when you really back up and think about it, one of the reasons that paper has dominated our world for thousands and thousands and thousands of years is because paper is pretty useful. You can take a pen or a pencil or any kind of marking device and put anything that you want to on that paper. And so, digital is great, but paper's been great for a long time too, right? And so we want to make sure that digital allows you to do the things that you can do on paper, and then naturally, what we are trying to do with the digital sheet is layer in more convenience on top of that. And so so what that means is we focus a lot on convenience of ability scores, automating for you to calculate your skills, all those things where you don't have to do the math and figure that out as you're creating a character. But at the same time, if on your paper character sheet you could go and instead of putting longsword, you could type old Abe's trusty longsword or whatever. Well, you wouldn't type that on paper, probably, unless you're using a typewriter to play these games, which would be pretty wild, but I guess it could happen. But you could do that on paper. And so we want to make sure, of course, that if you get a longsword on your digital character sheet, that you're not forced to look at just longsword as the name of that if you want old Abe's trusty longsword to be there instead. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about there. But with scope, it also is going to talk about coverage. Right now, we are focused on making sure that we're getting to an acceptable threshold of coverage and of support of things in the core rulebook and the advanced player's guide. But then, as soon as we get to that, acceptable threshold, then we will start expanding that coverage into other books. We expect that coverage to be much, much more broad by the time we get to the beta here soon. But this is also going to be an ongoing process when it comes to scope, because Pathfinder is a massive, expansive game. But again, the reason that we have this platform in place is for that kind of scalability, and we're going to be continuing to work through that. And then style, we want it to be a visually pleasing experience to use the character tools. We want it to be a polished experience. We want it to feel like Pathfinder. That's a really important thing. There are many, digital tools out there, virtual tabletops, places that you can, play these games. But what we are trying to do here at Demiplane is give you something that feels premium, that feels next level. And so, when we talk about style, it really is just kind of across the board that we want it to be an experience that delights you and captures the feel of your favorite games and allows you to have characters that exist, in those games and to be able to have that atmosphere through, your digital character sheet, through the character builder. So you're going to see some updates when it comes to, those visuals and that polish coming in. Those are elements that we have not really focused on at all during the alpha. One of the things that happens when you're in software engineering is a lot of times you're focused on getting something to work, and then you focus on getting something to work right, and then you focus on making something look good. And so we're starting to get to that phase where we are doing the look good part of that as well. So you will see some updates coming in. That's going to include some light theming to start. That will be greatly expanded as we get into the open beta. But again, what you see today, the bones are going to be there, but again, it's going to have quite an update when it comes to the visual polish and the look and feel of things, and we're really excited about that. And you'll start to see that before too much longer. Game content wise, we've got Rage of Elements. We've got the Hero deck coming for Pathfinder, and no promises here because our team is pretty busy and working on these character tools. But we encourage innovation and our team to participate in new and fun things. And one of the things, our team's had some ideas around the Hero deck, and so we're going to be trying to do something fun with the Hero deck at some point. So more news on that a little bit later. And then if you don't hear me talk about it, it means that our side projects or our bandwidth fizzled out a little bit. But I think the Hero deck's got a real chance of being a side project that becomes more than that. Alien RPG, Heart of Darkness, Chair to the Gods. Nothing's changed there. We haven't been able to come back to those too much with some of the other priorities, but before too much longer, we hope to. Sundry Nexus Fun Times. We've got some new partner and product announcements. So I'm basically just teasing right now, but there are several things that are kind of just out there, just barely, outside of the grasp that we can't quite talk about yet. But we've got some news about the 5e Nexus that we're going to be sharing before too much longer, and we've got some new partner news as well. So looking forward to all of those things. All right, and then finally we've got a new episode of Children of Erte tonight. This was another pre-recorded one, I think. I think we're back live as of next week because everyone's schedules kind of calmed down a little bit more. But this one is a doozy. And so you can tune in tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific for the next episode of Children of Erte. And I think it is time for questions. And the updates took all of our time today, but I am going to try to power through these questions as quickly as I can. All right, Scott, R1C, will the GM screen be available for purchase? I assume that you are talking about Avatar Legends when you're talking about the GM screen, because I know that that was announced today as well. If you're not, please feel free to clarify in a follow-up. But yes, the Avatar Legends GM screen, that is not going to be available for purchase on Avatar Legends Nexus, at least anytime soon. The content that is going to be available on that screen is going to be available in all of the other books that are available there. But that kind of aggregation of that in the form of the physical screen is not something. We've got some ideas for the future for kind of a rules dashboard kind of thing that you could do. But we're not at that stage yet, and it won't be available there. But as I said, it is my understanding, I haven't seen the screen yet. It's my understanding that everything that would be there would be something that you also can access in the rest of the content. Artemis Themp, where's the Stolen Fate player guide? So player guides are interesting in that, Paizo does a really great job of getting us content in time for us to release books on their street date. And once we've gotten caught up to new releases, we haven't missed a street date. We don't plan to ever miss a street date. Players guides are different. We see players guides when you do. Because they're just a different kind of product. And so when that PDF goes out, that is actually the first time that we typically see a player's guide for an adventure path. And so the team has been working on the Stolen Fate player guide. Probably, if I was guessing, I would say it's probably going to be out this week. And we can get to it quicker sometimes, but we've got a lot on the plate right now. But either way, Stolen Fate player guide is in progress, and it's going to be out in the next few days. Decron 82, are Strength of Thousands and Extinction Curse on the Adventure Path roadmap for Pathfinder Nexus? Yes, they are. And as I've said before, I jammed a lot into our different screens that we talked about with updates today. and I was already at time by the time I got done with it. Just because something isn't showing up on one of these screens in the dev update does not mean that it's not something that is on the roadmap. We do not have a publicly available roadmap outside what you see in dev update streams at the moment. We're just not at the point in our life cycle as a company where that is a fruitful thing for really anybody involved, and that means us. We don't have the bandwidth to effectively communicate all of the context around a roadmap that we would need to outside of these streams where I can come and talk for 30 minutes, a week on that. And if we put something out there that is incomplete or that is not maintained well with that limited bandwidth that we have, that spells disappointment for you, the fans who are trying to use that public roadmap. So we're not doing that at this stage. I am sure we will have one at some point, but we don't have one yet. But Strength of Thousands and Extinction Curse definitely on the roadmap. Any and all of the adventure paths are on that roadmap, and we are going to get to them as quickly as we can. I believe that Extinction Curse, we have done some actual work on that one, so I believe it is the next one in the pipeline. But we will provide updates as we get closer to those being actually available. Mode key or Mokai, will there be a light mode for the character sheet anytime soon? One of my friends finds dark mode text really difficult to read. That's a great question, and yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go on and answer this. It was kind of a question of like how much I wanted to give away right now. But yeah, the short answer is there will be a light mode. There will probably be through theming, you will have a variety of ways to interact with a character sheet. Is what I will talk about there. And in the shorter term, there will be some versions that are lighter and not just a whole lot of clean dark lines and themes and theming out there. Where's the mead? Well, the character builder allowed us to view the character at a given level, i.e. can I pre-build a level 20 character and view them at level 10? Not to start with, but the copying process is a very, very simple one. So, we've seen people bring up that concept before, and we have some bigger fish that we're wanting to fry. When it comes to the character builder and the character sheet, and so that's something that I think one day we will get to. But again, the copying process of a character, to be at level 10 and copy and then branch off into a new version of that character. It's reasonably simple to do, or it's going to be, as we move forward. And so this is something that hasn't hit the priority yet, but we definitely will. We definitely will approach that, I am sure, at some point, because it's something that we would like to see as well. UK Haiku, how are you and the team doing? I can imagine it's been a bit of a slog getting to this point. Slog is a nice word. Yeah, it's been I describe it as a tunnel, and so yeah, there's a lot of work going on. I think personally for me, I definitely am a bit shark in mentality, that it's hard for me to stop swimming. And so I like having things to do, and I like being busy for the most part. But even for somebody like me, it certainly is a lot of work. And so we are certainly talking through, as we get the open beta out there, and we've got a firm foundation to be able to kind of jump off of and continue on, making sure that that people are getting time to themselves, and R&R and mental health and everything else. And I personally am going to find a beach somewhere where I can eat good fresh seafood. So, so definitely going to be, doing all those things. And thank you for checking in. Mergon, will it ever be possible to change the default ability for a class? Example, a wizard or witch who might use charisma instead of intelligence. That is definitely something that will be available at some point in the future, not in the short term and not for beta, but it is something that, especially as we get into our homebrew system, all of those will be things that we can do. And the way that our engines system works, that kind of makes all the magic happen. That is something that we absolutely can at some point in the future provide a UI for you to be able to do, and for all of that stuff to cascade through the engines and then putting that together. So it is on the list, not for the short term here. Artemis Themp, does share work both ways? Example, a friend who is sub-share Pathfinder with me, does he get access to my Pathfinder book even if I'm not subbed? I'm trying to make sure that I'm following the question there. So content sharing works in that it is one way. So if you are sharing with someone else, that someone else can access anything in your library. But if you are wanting to share something that you own, you need to subscribe in order to, Demiplane members can share, I guess, is the, anything in their digital library, I think is the simplest way to put that. UK Haiku, are there long-term plans for an iOS app to allow offline access to purchase content? Really, really hard to say. Long-term, there definitely aren't short or medium-term plans, but I also won't close the door on long-term plans for an iOS app. We're really committed to making sure that everything that we are creating is mobile responsive and works great on mobile devices and tablets within the web browser. And as far as the offline access goes, completely understand that. At the same time, every day that we're alive on the planet, offline access becomes less and less important. And so that's not to say that we won't ever provide solutions for it. It's lower on our priority list at this stage. And, especially living through my past life and seeing what spending development bandwidth did on creating native mobile applications and how much that took away from the core critical path of what these tools can do, seeing how difficult it was to maintain parity, seeing how little offline access was actually used. All of those kind of things make it a really, really tough prospect to prioritize. But at the same time, that's not closing the door on that at all. It is definitely a possibility in the future. We just have a lot of other things that we're wanting to tackle before that is considered something that we would work on. All right, Anchor 89 with the Hero deck. Will we see a hero point and crit fail decks if the hero works out? That's all certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility. I'm a big fan of those decks. AKA Kira, I would also want to see the hero point deck implemented. That's not a question, but it was thematically appropriate for the previous question, and I definitely agree. Hero point, critical hit and fail decks, the deck of endless NPCs. I think the cards read that we will have some card related things happening in the future, because several of our team members are into the way that cards work and card games. So yeah, I think that it is fair to say that first of all, I think the hero deck will work out, but then second of all, that we will be touching some of those other great card decks that have been put out there. Mergon, any chance of a Discord bot for Demiplane, definitely a chance of that. Not on the short-term roadmap, but definitely a chance of that. I definitely am familiar from the past life of how that goes, and how valuable and convenient that is, and so definitely a possibility. All right, last question. Risa Malima, my current favorite dinosaur. You know, I can't remember what I'll answer the last time that this happened, but I believe it may have been an Ankylosaurus, and I am still there right now. A lot of times, it's going to change week to week, but I think that I've been on, my Ank for for a few months now. Actually, I just recently read some fascinating stuff about one of the best preserved ankylosauruses that we've ever found. And how they lived on coastlines, and how strange that is, that an animal that, if it made its way into water, most certainly could not swim, as heavy as it was. Why would it live on coastlines? And so yeah, I've definitely been preoccupied with Ankylosaurus of late, and there's just something, I love just the concept of protection and tankiness and everything else, and so that really fits that theme very well. All right, that is all the time we have for questions. Actually, we went a little over with the questions, but I appreciate all of them. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking them. Join us tonight. Again, reminder, at 6 p.m. Pacific for a new episode of Children of Erte. And we're going to, continue the work here. New build going out later today for the Pathfinder character tools. Pre-order Republic City on Avatar Legends Nexus. I can't wait to see that product. Very, very excited about what is going on there for Magpie. And we'll be back next week with some more updates. Have a good week. Later, Gators.